Welcome to GovMates Next Gen, a podcast that will cover hot topic industry discussions as well as innovation news and technology chats regarding the ways in which small businesses and non-traditionals are driving change for government customers and the end user. GovMates Next Gen, where innovation and collaboration collide. Hello and welcome back to another episode. Today I'm sitting down for a tech talk with a GovMates Nation member, Trenton Systems, which is a trusted brand in US-made mission-critical computing. I'm going to let their vice president of marketing get into more of that in just a moment. Recently, part of the GovMates team traveled to San Diego to attend the FCA West conference. And if I can just tell you about how much I miss the San Diego weather, the sunshine, the warmth, absolute chef's kiss. The conference itself was fantastic as well. We spent most of our time in the exhibitor hall, which was packed full of a ton of GovMates members who are doing some fantastic things in the space. But more importantly, we got to meet several members of the GovMates Nation, including the great team from Trenton Systems. We typically document our travels around the DC metro area, as well as any out-of-state conferences we attend on our LinkedIn page. So if you're not already following that page, you can follow along at linkedin.com/company/govmates or from the link in our show notes. I highly recommend that you do give it a follow as we share industry news, upcoming events, matchmaking opportunities, video and audio updates, travel recaps, and more. There's a reason our hashtag is Not Your Mother's Matchmaking, and it's because we definitely do things differently. Now, this episode is full of the great things that Trenton Systems is doing to support mission-critical endeavors for their customers, so I'm going to turn it over to Yazz to tell us more. I am excited to have this conversation today and learn a little bit about a brand new friend of ours, a GovMate, and we will learn a little bit more about who they are and what they do, which leads me to my first question, which is, who are you and what makes you an expert in your industry?
Hey folks, pleasure to be here. My name is Yazz. I am the VP of Marketing at Trenton Systems, and I've been in the high-performance computing industry for about 5 years now, and this means that I've been living, breathing this topic of secure US-made high-performance computers day in, day out for the last 5 years. So that, I think, answers the question of what makes me an expert in the industry. And to kind of add a little to this, I'm surrounded by individuals who have quite literally been born into this industry. So the wealth of knowledge that I have access to is nothing short of amazing, from the engineering to business side. If I have any questions or need someone to elaborate on a subject, I really have a very short walk to a pool of subject matter experts.
Nice. So you're just like right down the hallway. I will find that answer for you. My favorite way to answer a question.
Exactly. And so our building is kind of split in half right now, where one side is business and the other is engineering. And so literally within a few steps, I have access to anyone and everyone.
I can only imagine what like the water cooler cafeteria lunch talks are with those two. Like, can you imagine?
Exactly. We do have one that's quite literally on the border between those two sides, and it makes really a fun time to have some of these nice conversations where you get uber technical folks and then kind of uber business folks that come together. But it's always a fun time, and we kind of get to joke about it. And honestly, out of these conversations, a lot of these solutions somehow come to life.
I like that. It's like the Switzerland of Trenton Systems.
Pretty much. A lot of pressure for a coffee machine.
Yeah, right? Taking a lot of notes there. Can you tell me a little bit about the company and what it does and who it serves?
Of course, sure. So Trenton Systems, as mentioned before, we're located right in the Atlanta metro area, and we've really become a trusted computing innovator for our U.S. military prime contractors. So going into our core competencies, that's really designing, manufacturing, assembling, testing, and supporting ruggedized high-performance computing solutions for the aero and defense industry. Talking about these engineers, we have in-house engineers that are able to customize down to the chip and BIOS level. So that's really a unique skill set to have on your team. So when you're customizing down to the chip BIOS level across a product line of CMOS aligned small form factor computers, as well as rugged rack mount servers, I mean, that's a huge value add for our customers. And not only that, when you have it in-house, you have this tight grip on the supply chain. So we're able to engineer around the supply chain parts issues successfully. We all know everybody is dealing with them today due to COVID and many, many other factors. While we do that, we also provide multi-layer cybersecurity across what we consider a multi-layered approach. So not only what you're thinking of cybersecurity from a software perspective, but we have hardware, firmware, and software cybersecurity measures that can be integrated into our customers' broad system of cyber solutions. So our products are really part of major weapons programs and are installed on platforms like ISR aircraft, ground combat vehicles, submarine surface ships, you name it. If I may shift gears a bit here, we do offer lots of support for the DoD sector, but the industrial and commercial industries benefit tremendously from the value adds we bring to the table. Cybersecurity is a thing for everybody across the board. That's U.S. critical infrastructure and DoD. So, matter of fact, some of our biggest customers are not in the mil-aero markets. And that's because our unmatched focus on US-made cybersecure computing. So think, again, critical infrastructure applications like fintech, banking, oil and gas, and the like.
I love all of that. And especially the fact that you are able to say truly made in the United States is a big deal, especially with the supply chain issues that are going on recently and the supply chain risk mitigation. We actually just had a GovMates Institute recently where we talked about kind of ghosting your competition in your proposals due to being able to answer those supply chain mitigation risks. So having that type of security or that type of product or that type of software that already answers several of those questions is only a benefit to the customers that I suppose you guys are serving.
Exactly. And it's really honestly a benefit to our customers and their customers. A lot of times we're working with, tier one military primes and their customers are any military branches. And so when you have executive orders now coming down the pipeline and saying, hey, this needs to be manufactured in the USA, we've literally been doing that since the late 80s. We have, when I say design, manufacture, assembly, test, support, all in-house, yes, that is literally done all in the Atlanta area. And it allows us to kind of skirt around these supply chain issues and add more cybersecurity features than, the integrators of the world, if you will.
Definitely. So you were ahead of the curve before the curve was created.
Correct. Which was amazing. So we've actually been a huge proponent of shouting from the rooftops, even before this started, that, hardware level security is of utmost importance and, having to onshore a lot of these processes and components. And so now that we're in the situation that we're in, it really does add a lot of value to these customers, like I said, across numerous levels, whether that's on DoD or in the commercial and industrial sector. And honestly, I'm thrilled and honored to be part of that process because you get to see what kind of an impact it makes.
Exactly. It's making a difference. It's moving that needle where it needs to be versus having to redo and recreate the wheel that's already been created. What problem do you find that you are most often solving for the government or the industry?
What problem? It's tough to answer because it's a myriad of problems that we solve. But, some of the various pain points that span across government and industry sectors, it really depends on the program or application. Ultimately boils down to our capabilities and the quality of service we provide. To elaborate a bit on that, we're able to customize everything down to the board level. Yes, that means we actually make our own boards. This goes back to the Made in USA story. So this enables customers across this wide spectrum of industries to minimize the supply chain risks impacting their needs for high performance computers. And we spend a lot of time vetting parts, pieces, components across the board when we then design, manufacture, assemble, support all of our components and solutions. Then pretty much we're able to offer our engineering team to be an extension of their team to help with these technical requirements that they may have today or in the future. Kind of think of us as a one-stop shop for all things computing, whether for critical infrastructure or mil defense applications. And it's really those problems that we're solving. It's truly the people at Trenton Systems are the difference. We have that skill set on hand that can assist with today's technologies or technologies that are coming out in the near future. Lots of times we have customers visit our facility and work shoulder to shoulder with our engineers to solve some of their problems. And that's truly a big value add to our customer base.
It seems like a very unique thing to be able to do, is to say that not only are you able to take care of, the implementation and the maintenance that goes with some of these things, but you're actually creating the boards. You're putting the pieces together so that when you do send them somewhere or put them in somewhere, you can then come back and say, okay, we made this. So if it needs to be updated or changed or whatever that is, you already have the tools necessary to do that. You're not going and getting other businesses to do that, correct?
Correct. And you bring up a valid point there. So when changes need to be made, and today, let's say you're purchasing a motherboard and a part goes end of life. So what do you
Right.
do? Well, you go to the manufacturer of the board and they say, correct, it is end of life, and the next available date is going to be probably over a year. So you're kind of dead in the water with a replacement. So you have to buy an entirely new board and wait for it because the component is still EOL, however you flip it. Well, with us, since we make the board, we can design around said component. So instead of waiting a year plus, you might wait 2 months because our engineers that design the actual layout of the board and then manufacture the board, we get to design around it. And so that's a huge point that I wanted to make, that the reason that when you control the supply chain to that level, when you control the product to that level, you're now able to circumvent some of these, I would say, P1 issues that we're facing today.
I'm so glad that this is an audio experience, because when you were like, it could be a year, my eyes got huge. And I was like, that seems like, and I mean, I know this is government, I know everything takes forever, but still, the thought of having to wait a year plus for something to be fixed because the part went out makes my stomach hurt.
It is. And honestly, when you say a year, I know a lot of folks are already hearing it. I mean, something as simple as appliances for your home, sometimes you have to wait months before they're available. Now imagine having to have something that is controlling, a critical piece of a program that needs to run a mission critical application, and then hearing from the supplier, yeah, it's going to take about 42 weeks plus.
Yeah, so
So
sorry about that, but you're going to be in
exactly.
the waiting hole for a while. I hope you're able to do your job.
Right, exactly. And so what a lot of people are doing, I mean, we're dealing with the same issues. Not to say that we don't have any supply chain constraints. We do. Everybody's feeling the crunch today, but it is such a huge value add when you get to take your engineering team, get into a room together and whiteboard a solution to solve the customer's current pain point and to see if there's a way for us to, like I say, circumvent or move around this said component being EOL. And honestly, for the customer, that's a huge value add because they get to see what we truly love to do, which is solve problems, solve highly complex technical problems.
I like that you had mentioned that sometimes you have customers or clients come in and work shoulder to shoulder with your teams. So can you tell me a little bit more about that and how your solutions do support those clients and those mission initiatives?
Of course. So I'll give you a perfect example here. We had a few representatives from tier one military primes visit our facility alongside members of the United States Air Force. And they told us exactly that our solutions are at the heart of their missions. And so, of course, I said, please elaborate on this. So we provide the performance, so the compute, the processing to the program or mission at hand. The sensors that collect all this data, they have to store this data somewhere. Something has to process this data securely, quickly, and be able to spit out mission critical results, metrics, reports, whatever, in or near real time. So that's what we do. That's what our solutions provide to our customers. We support the mission any place. This means in a climate controlled environment, which is usually the industrial commercial sector, or at the edge. For example, at the edge usually means in the field. Not only that, our solutions have an average life cycle of over 11 years. And these are actual numbers that we went back through our database and said, what is the average? So 11 plus years. And what does that mean? That means we can provide you with the same equipment for decades to come. So you don't have to worry about requalifying, recertifying immediately. You have a long runway that will enable you to assign resources to, let's say, other programs. And that really boils down to total cost of ownership, resource allocation, and whatnot. So we really support their mission initiatives by enabling them to purchase high quality products that are available for a long time, that will withstand the test of time, as well as any environmental effects, physical or cyber, that the system or solution may experience.
That decade number, that average over a decade, that's longer than some contracts are.
Exactly. And honestly, there's one program that we're still supporting that is over 20 years old.
Oh,
And
nice.
so it's actually really cool to say, like, of course, I'm in marketing. And so you constantly deal with the latest and greatest next gen technologies, as we like to say.
Right.
But then, you get hit with this 20-year-old product that people are still using. And it's really cool to see that, because the hope is that the product that I'm calling next gen today, in 20 years, I get to say, hey, I used to call that next gen 20 years ago.
And
And
here's the
somebody's
next thing.
still putting it to good use.
That sounds like two sides of a really nice, innovative coin.
Exactly.
So speaking of some of those solutions, what is the most impactful solution that your team has developed so far?
Whew, that's a tough one for me.
We like to ask the hard questions.
I see that. So I wasn't always in the high performance computing industry. So honestly, coming on to Trenton Systems and kind of finding out all the great things that they're doing, which was part of the reason what made me so excited to be part of this team, is that passion. And so for me, geeking out about every product, I have to kind of say, all right, let's remove all that to decide what's the one thing that I really like. So the reason it's tough, so we develop honestly so many solutions that have a direct impact on what the armed forces do on a daily basis. And honestly, some of the ones that I would love to talk about, I cannot. We are under
secrets.
we are under strict NDAs. Exactly. But I will say this, our latest solution. So we have a small form factor mission computer is starting to be one of my all-time favorites. And I'll tell you why. So the reason is that it's being used across all 5 domains of the battle space. So this means sea, land, air, space, and cyber. So the different applications that we run into utilizing the TAC, so the tactical advanced computer, at the center of it all never fails to amaze me. So I can say, it's radar, autonomous vehicles, C5ISR, fixed and rotary wing programs, you name it. So what this tells you is that we have successfully developed a solution that our armed forces find valuable no matter where they are. And that to me is cool. So this is why I do what I do. That's what it's all about. When you design something that helps our men and women in uniform get the job done, no matter where the mission takes them, that's impactful in various ways.
It sounds like you've actually gotten all of them to agree on something, which I absolutely love, because that seems rare. In the best way.
I'm pleading the fifth.
We won't claim that, but we'll kind of claim it. It's fine. What is Trenton Systems most excited about in the next 12 months?
Oh, and this is where, if it wasn't for those NDAs again, I could spend
am I asking
days.
about more secrets? Am I asking more secret questions?
I could honestly spend days answering this question. We have so many initiatives going on right now at Trenton Systems that I'm having a hard time keeping up with it all. We're helping customers from a diverse spectrum of industries. We're growing like crazy. I think the official term we're experiencing is hyper growth. We're expanding our product portfolio. So we used to be known at the very beginning, way back when in the 80s, for building the actual components. Then we went into systems, now into solutions. And now we're building small form factor mission computers. Our solutions offering, yes, that's expanding. The services we provide around these solutions is expanding. Partnering with companies that are a perfect complement to help our customers check more of those boxes on their list of requirements. And just recently we scored a perfect score on the AS9100D certification, which was a huge milestone.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, no, our quality team and pretty much everybody on Trenton Systems did an outstanding job. And even the auditor said in the last 10 years, he didn't experience a perfect score. So very proud of our team and very proud to carry that. And the programs that we're also putting in place around supply chain risk management that I talked about, the cybersecurity features across the multi-layered approach, and just so much more. The best I can say here is for folks to, sign up to our newsletter and stay on top of our upcoming releases. There will be plenty exciting news to share. And that's all I can say on that before I get myself in hot waters.
Before all of a sudden I take the hook out and take you off the stage. I hear exactly what you're saying.
Before my battery runs out, pretty much.
Exactly. All of a sudden there's a factory reset.
Exactly.
That brings me to the next question, which I think you kind of touched on a little bit. What is the best place, or where is the best place for our audience to connect with you or to connect with Trenton Systems should they want to stay on top of things that are happening?
Of course. So I personally live and breathe on social media, and I'm on my phone 24/7. So the best way to connect with me is via LinkedIn. And same goes for Trenton Systems, really. Our social storytelling is out of this world. Kudos to the team. for spearheading this initiative to get the information, to get the right information in front of the right audience. So we share anything and everything that we do, and anything and everything that we learn, we also share with the audience. And I think that's a huge differentiator between us and the competitors. We're not just talking about the next initiatives that Trenton Systems is going through, but we also cover industry news and any company news that may relate to the overall industry. So it's not just about Trenton Systems, but it's really, we want to be the thought leader in our space. And we love to connect with people who know more about subjects than we do and welcome their input.
So that community is on LinkedIn, and we'll make sure to put both your link and the link to Trenton Systems within the show notes of this episode so that people can easily get to that as well.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
I am going to throw a little bit of an oddball question to you. Is there something that Trenton Systems is looking to partner with, or that would be most beneficial for you all out in the space? Is there anybody you're looking to, get a hold of or learn more about that our network could potentially help to connect with you?
Of course. Yeah, that question again is really anybody who is looking for a partner in high performance computing world. We really want to make sure that we are articulating this correctly so that we're not just a manufacturer of ruggedized computers. We really want to partner with companies who have complex technical needs that need to be solved. We are an extension of your engineering arm, and that's what we want to be there for you. We are a customer centric as well as a customer driven company. So as far as partnering with folks, it's really anybody that requires high performance computing at the core of their mission, or companies that complement our products. So any of the folks that may have a product that is connecting to a high performance computer. We love to innovate together. We love to solve problems for our collective customer base so that we can make it easier on them, pretty much piecemealing a solution together rather than, going at it kind of individually.
I'm really sensing a theme of better together here, where you're working with the clients,
Yes.
You're working with other providers. Seems like the focus is what's best for the end user, and that's what we like to hear.
Exactly. And so we've noticed this, a few years back when we started talking to our customers and asking them, what's important to you? And there's only that, as far as we can go for what we do. But then we started asking about other pain points, and we immediately started to expand our partnership ecosystem. And these great partners of ours are bringing their expertise to the table so that they can continue solving this customer's pain point. And honestly, that's where the magic happens. It truly is. I'm going to be the stereotypical marketer and say #BetterTogether.
There you go. See, we like a good hashtag here.
Perfect.
That does bring me to one of our last big questions, which is, what challenge do you see facing the industry today that needs immediate solutions?
Very good question. And I would take this question and answer it with, I think it's clear to say that the constraint on the supply chain has been felt around the globe. And I think that's really the immediate solution that we need. So we need immediate solutions to address this issue in the best manner possible. It means controlling our supply chain, providing our customers with vetted solutions, and making these technologies available to those in need. As mentioned before, we want to avoid those elongated wait times. So innovation, not only on the technology, but on the processes and procedures to get them into customers' hands faster is required. So this is, of course, a challenge I see facing the industry right now. And I would guess in the near future, I think things are going to get a little more constrained before they get a little better. I'm an optimist at heart. Things are getting better. And it helps when you have tight grip on your product development and the supply chain. But as always, things can always be better. And being, again, the hardcore optimist, I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm happy to be a part of a team that's been dedicated to this initiative long before it became a global crisis. So I think the more people start waking up to this fact, and the more people start attributing resources to solving this problem as a collective group across the nation, across the globe, I think we're going to come up with some nifty solutions here that we can circumvent some of these problems in the near future.
Sounds like we've got heads up and eyes up, and we're all looking forward.
Yes, ma'am.
We like that. Well, thank you so much for being on with me today and giving us a little
course.
bit of an overview of what you and Trenton Systems are doing. And we wish you all the best of luck in the next year.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you again to Yazz and the great Trenton Systems team for spending time with me today. You can learn more about Trenton Systems at the links in our show notes. You can also check out our previous Tech Talk on YouTube or in an earlier episode of the podcast. We're constantly highlighting innovative companies as they push forward with new solutions for government, as well as asking our government and industry friends the hard questions that we're curious about in the GovCon space. If you know of someone who you think might want to share their story, please reach out to me at meg@govmates.com and we'll see if we can get them on a future episode. I look forward to chatting with you on the next episode, and until then, have a great week. This podcast is brought to you by GovMates, a technology scouting platform for innovation, collaboration, and acceleration in the federal space. We appreciate that you're along for the ride and would like to invite you to leave a favorable review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you enjoy listening. To suggest future guests or for any questions, please email meg@govmates.com. For more information about GovMates, you can visit us at govmates.com.